Hi, this is Steph with Belladonna Dyes, and today we're going to make a classic spiral. Decide where you want the center of your spiral to be, give it a little pinch, and for this one I'm going to be using the microwave splatter guard, and I got this off of Amazon and I have a link for it down below in the description box. Then you click your hemostat down on one click because you don't want it to be super tight. It doesn't need to be. You don't want to tear a hole in the center of your shirt. And then you just start to spiral it up, and once you get the center started, use your other hand to create the spiral. And that way you're able to control the pleats and just keep on spiraling it up. Once you've gone as far as the splatter guard will let you go, unlatch your hemostat, and then with your other hand, hold down the center of the spiral and wiggle your hemostat out. If you don't do that, you're going to pull the whole center of the spiral with it, and then you're going to have to do it again. And then just continue to make the nice spiral and secure it with rubber bands. And for this one, I'm going to be using my favorite rubber bands. They're perfect for this size of a spiral. I also got them off of Amazon, and I have the link for them down below in the description box, along with everything else that I use for tie-dye, so don't forget to check that out. Continue working on your spiral, tucking in all of those loose tails. And what I like to do is pull on the tails and tuck them into the nearest rubber band. That way you create a nice tight spiral. I'm happy with that. That's a pretty good looking spiral. So now it's time for the fun part. We get to add the dye. And like I said, this is going to be a classic spiral, so I'm going to be using the rainbow colors. And I personally like to start with the primary colors. That way when they meet down in the center of the spiral, they're going to make the pretty secondary colors. And that's just my method. You can start with any color that you want or use whatever colors you want. If you don't want to make a rainbow spiral, you can do it in oranges or pinks, whatever's going to make you happy. The blue had already started creeping along into the yellow, making green, before I even started adding the green. So I just took the yellow and I just gave it a quick little flush. I want the yellow to stay as yellow as possible. For those of you that have been watching regularly, you know that I usually have a hard time keeping yellow in my projects because it gets swallowed up by the orange and the green. So this time I want a lot of yellow, and I made the yellow pie piece larger. It gave it more room to creep out, and I'm using less green and less orange. So we'll see if that works. So the colors have had a chance to creep out a little bit, like the turquoise, for instance. And so now I'm just quickly going over them, and I'm overlapping the colors just a little bit. I want the edges to be somewhat blended and soft. I want them to just flow nicely into each other. Another color that gives me trouble is fuchsia red. Without fail, on most of my projects when I use fuchsia red, I usually always have white. And I don't understand it because the reds usually for me are overpowering and take over on everything. Not with the fuchsia red. Does that happen to any of you? Have you noticed that? I know some of you have commented to me that yes, with the fuchsia you also have that problem. It's just the weirdest thing. So for this project, I'm going really heavy with the yellow and the fuchsia red. Would you look at that? No fuchsia showing through on the backside, and I dumped so much on there. So you just want to flip your project over and then repeat on the backside what you did on the front side. While dyeing the backside of the shirt, I had the strangest phenomenon. There were like white patches that weren't receiving the dye, and I've never had this happen before, and I've dyed handfuls of this particular Gildan shirt with no issue. And then I got to thinking, well, maybe this one didn't get the pre-wash, but it did because it was in with all my other pre-wash shirts, and they don't make it to that tote until they've been washed and dried. So then I started thinking, well, since I used the Panda spin dryer, maybe the shirt was too dry. But it wasn't dry. It was damp when I tied it up, and I dyed it right away. So do you guys know what's causing that? Is there something particular in the fabric where it doesn't take the dye? Because if you watch, for instance, the green, it just wants to repel the green for some reason. And if you look in the turquoise, there's like this white speck, and it just won't receive the dye. It's so strange. So what do you guys think that is? Take note of how much dye I am pouring on this shirt. I'm pouring so much on you can literally see it soaking into the shirt. It happens quickly, but if you notice when I open up to peek, in between the fuchsia and the grape, there is still white. It is mind-boggling. So I'm over this shirt at this point. It's repelling dye. I don't understand what's going on. So I use my fingers to literally squeeze it and work that dye into every fiber of this shirt. Cover your project and let it batch for 24 to 48 hours. It's been 48 hours and now it's time for the rinse out. And the reason I went with 48 hours is because it's cooler here in Oregon, so I wanted to make sure that this had enough time for the dye to bond with the fibers and the cotton, and I want this shirt to be able to be seen from the universe. I want it to glow. So you want to start by using cold water, and that's going to rinse away any soda ash that might still be reacting within the fibers. And then gradually increase the water up to hot and rinse until your water runs pretty much clear. And then I wash it in the washing machine, and I use Kirillon and I use Millsoft. And you want to follow the manufacturer's instructions on that. And I get those things from Dharma, and I have links for them down below in the description box to make it easy for you to find. And then I put it in the dryer, and we'll come back and we'll see the results. Well, here it is, guys. Here's our classic spiral after it's been washed and dried. I love this shirt. It's absolutely beautiful. For those of you that have been following along, you know that rainbows make me very happy. And happy birthday, Mama, this shirt's for you. So, after all, there is even still a little bit of white in the purple and the red, and I'm okay with that, but considering how much dye I used and how I physically squished it into the shirt, I'm so surprised. But I'm very happy with the shirt. I think it's absolutely gorgeous. I hope the universe sees this shirt and my mom will be glowing so that someone very special can find her. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to my channel, leave a thumbs up, and click the bell and set it to all. That way you get notified of future uploads. And remember, have fun tie-dyeing.